This is the Scarcity Studios YouTube channel. Please don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. I really appreciate you joining me today, and we've got some updates coming from London. Thank you to Dave Nathan for his coverage from the scene of a lot of these murders. The first update, we're going to go back to the 29th of September, and this was a murder in Lambeth where it was a knife fight that police were called to, and a male in his 20s lost his life. Police were called at 4:05 AM on Sunday the 29th of September to reports of a large group fight with knives in Wandsworth Road, SW8. Officers, London Ambulance Service and the air ambulance attended, and 3 people were found at the scene suffering from stab wound injuries. Despite the best efforts of emergency services, a 24-year-old male, who was the first victim, was sadly pronounced dead at the scene. The police have informed his family and are being supported by specially trained officers, and his formal identification has yet to take place, and a post-mortem will be held in due course. 2 other victims, both aged in their 20s, were taken to hospital for treatment. One of them, victim 2, was treated for injuries that were deemed to not be life-threatening, and the 3rd victim remains in hospital with serious injuries. Detective Inspector Stephen Payne said, "One man has lost his life and 2 others are being treated in hospital for their injuries. My team are working around the clock to establish what happened, and our inquiries are ongoing. They were appealing for anybody that was on Wandsworth Road in the early hours of Sunday to come forward and give evidence." They went on to say in the statement that their thoughts are with the family of the victim who has lost his life in these tragic circumstances, and they are working to ensure that they make arrests as quick as possible. It was a large crime scene in place, and forensic officers searched throughout the day to gather evidence for a potential conviction. A lot of markers were being used as well, and this is what they used to gather evidence, for example where weapons may be, or maybe even blood, which could help in a conviction later on. There was a lot of traffic diversions, and a lot of residents were also having to take different routes home due to the investigation, as it covered such a large area in Lambeth. The latest update in relation to this story is that the victim has been identified as Dontae McLaren, and he's from Lambeth. Dynzell Patrick, 26 years old, from Wimbledon, has appeared in court on the 3rd of October and was remanded in custody for murder to stand trial at the Old Bailey. Patrick was arrested on the 1st of October, and the police have said that the family have been supported and the post-mortem is still yet to take place. And the police are still asking for anybody that was in the local area with dashcam footage that may have any information to help with the trial. So I want to send my condolences to the family of Dontae, and we'll definitely keep you updated on the outcome of that trial, and thank you for tuning in for this episode. In some other news, also staying in the London area, on the 1st of October, police were called and an ambulance at 2 PM to reports of a man stabbed on George Street in Croydon. The police attended, and the 23-year-old man was taken to hospital by the ambulance service, and it was reported that the knife was still in his arm at the time. A crime scene was put in place and no arrests have been made, and inquiries are ongoing. Dave Nathan attended the scene, and it showed a large police presence in a busy road, also with tram lines as well. I believe some of these trams may have been delayed due to this. Several ambulances were present, and there was also evidence being gathered from outside a shop, which would have obviously prevented a business from making money, and the forensics were gathering a lot of evidence from around by an off licence. And also photographs are being taken that could potentially be used later on. But due to the fact nobody's been arrested, we'll definitely have to keep you updated on any updates to do with this story. 3 days later, on the 4th of October, a murder investigation was launched after a fatal stabbing left a 50-year-old man dead, and 3 males have been arrested, the police said. Detectives launched the murder investigation after the man was found dead at a residential property in Ilford, East London. Police were called at 1 AM in the morning on Friday the 4th of October to the stabbing on Chapel Road. Police and ambulance service attended, and a 50-year-old male suffering from a stab injury was found in the corridor of a block of flats. Despite the best efforts, he was pronounced dead at 1:30 AM. His next of kin were informed and are being supported by specially trained police, and the investigation was launched to find out who was responsible for the murder. The police investigations were fast going, and 3 men aged 40 years old, 36 years old and 28 were arrested shortly after on suspicion of murder, and they were taken to an East London police station and remained in police custody. A further update from the police identified the victim and also made further arrests. The 4th man is aged 30 years old. He was arrested on the 5th of October on suspicion of murder and taken into police custody. The victim was named as Billy Keegan. And the latest update in this investigation was that Mohammed Osman from Dagenham is due to appear in court charged with the murder and also ABH of Billy Keegan in Ilford. The 3 other men that were arrested were released without any charges and no further investigation. So for the family of Billy, at least they get some sort of closure to know exactly what happened, and the details should emerge during the trial. The police must have some understanding of what has occurred now, due to be able to make these charges. So rest in peace to Billy Keegan, and we'll definitely keep you updated on the outcome of that trial. And several days later, on the 7th of October, Metropolitan Police were called at 3:30 to reports of a stabbing on Lower Sloane Street in Sloane Square, Chelsea. Police and London Ambulance Service attended and they found a 15-year-old male that had suffered a stab injury. He was taken to hospital and his condition was stable, but they didn't know how serious. No arrests were made at that time, and the incident was in a very busy area and somewhere that most of the time they don't really hear about a lot of knife crime occurring in this part of the city. But it goes to show that nowhere is safe, and that also the age of the victim as well, only being 15 years old. Thankfully this wasn't fatal, but it so easily could, and it has been so many other times. So I really appreciate you joining me for these updates. I'll be back again very shortly with some more news. Don't forget to follow on other social medias to keep up to date with some other stories, and Telegram for footage that can't be shown on YouTube.